Have you heard the story of 78-year-old Mr. Sharma?
I haven't.
So he was diligently taking 9 different medications.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, everything from his blood pressure meds to those for joint pain, just as his doctor ordered. But then he started experiencing dizziness, forgetfulness, and weakness.
Oh, no.
Yeah, culminating in a collapse one morning. Turns out some of his medications were interacting and causing dangerously low blood pressure.
Oh.
And unfortunately, this story illustrates a growing concern for seniors' polypharmacy.
It really highlights the fine line, between managing health and encountering unintended consequences, especially with multiple medications, which seniors often require for various conditions.
Right, and that's precisely what we're diving deep into today.
Okay.
Polypharmacy. We'll explore the hidden dangers, why it's so prevalent among seniors, and most importantly, how to make smarter choices about medication management,
Sounds good.
whether for yourself or your loved ones. And you might be surprised by some of the solutions we uncover, like the surprising role of weight management.
Oh, interesting. I'm excited to hear more about that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But first, let's start with why seniors often end up taking so many medications in the first place. What's going on there?
Well, as we age, our bodies change, right?
All right.
And we become more susceptible to chronic conditions, things like diabetes, hypertension, or arthritis. And managing these often involves multiple medications.
It's like a domino effect.
Exactly.
One health issue leads to another, and suddenly you're juggling a handful of prescriptions.
Yeah.
How common is this? I was shocked to learn that 40% of older adults take 5 or more medications.
That's right, 40%. And it creates a huge financial burden. For every dollar spent on medications in nursing homes, another dollar is spent treating medication-related side effects.
Wow, so double the cost.
Double the cost, just to manage unintended consequences. So adding more medications might seem like the solution, but it often leads to more problems.
Like in the case of 74-year-old Mr. Mehta. We found this in our source material. He was experiencing drowsiness, dizziness, and difficulty concentrating, but continued taking all his medications despite these side effects.
That's a concern.
How does it even get to that point?
Well, Mr. Mesa's situation shows how easily polypharmacy can spiral out of control.
Okay.
In this case, there were a few contributing factors. One was every time he went to the doctor with new symptoms, they just added another medication.
Instead of addressing the root cause or adjusting his current medication.
Exactly.
Got it.
Another factor was that he was seeing multiple specialists,
Yeah.
for different conditions.
Right.
And those doctors, they weren't necessarily communicating with each other. So it's this cocktail of medications prescribed without considering their combined effects.
Yeah.
And some of those medications, they might have been unnecessary or even duplicating treatments already in place.
It's like different chefs adding ingredients to a dish,
Yeah.
without knowing what the others are putting in.
Yeah. A recipe for disaster.
Bound to become a mess. And I bet many of our listeners have either experienced this themselves or seen it happen with their loved ones.
Probably. Definitely. And then there's long-term medication use, which is another factor.
Yeah.
Many older adults, they continue taking medicines for years without any reassessment, even if their health status changes.
Right.
So some medications might become unnecessary or interact poorly with newer prescriptions.
But they're still part of their daily routine.
Exactly.
A recipe for trouble.
Exactly. And that brings us to the real heart of the matter. The hidden dangers of polypharmacy.
Let's unpack those dangers. Overdose.
Yes.
Is it true a dose that was safe a few years ago might now be too much? What kind of consequences are we talking about here?
As we age, our metabolism slows down, right?
Yeah.
And that means a drug might have a stronger than expected effect.
Okay.
So that can lead to an overdose, even if you're taking the prescribed amount. And we're talking about serious side effects, like dizziness, drowsiness, confusion, in extreme cases, even life-threatening situations.
Wow. So it's not just about taking too many pills. It's about how our bodies process them differently as we age.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's overdose, but then there's also underdose.
Yeah.
Can you explain that a bit further?
So some medications become riskier as we age, right? But others, they might become less effective. So they might not be adequately controlling the condition they were initially prescribed for, which leads to underdose.
So it's almost a double-edged sword. Either the medication is too strong because our bodies process it differently, or it's not strong enough anymore.
Right.
And then there's this term, drug interactions, DDIs.
Yes.
Can you break down what a drug interaction is and why it should be a major concern for our listeners?
Sure. So a drug interaction, or DDI, happens when two or more medications interact with each other within the body, right?
Oh, okay.
And these interactions, they can change the effectiveness of one or both medications,
Okay.
leading to unintended and potentially dangerous consequences. One drug might intensify the action of another one, creating like an amplified effect.
Right. Or it could block the absorption of another drug, rendering the treatment ineffective.
Wow.
For example, some antidepressants, they can interfere with blood thinners. So that increases the risk of bleeding.
Oh, wow. I hadn't thought about those specific consequences. So it's not just the individual effects of each medication, but how they might react with each other. That adds another layer of complexity.
It does. And importantly, this doesn't just apply to prescription medications, right? Over-the-counter medicines and even supplements can also cause these interactions. Something as seemingly harmless as an antacid or herbal supplement could interact with a prescription drug and lead to unwanted side effects.
That's a good reminder that everything we put into our bodies can potentially interact with medication. It really underscores the importance of consulting with a doctor or pharmacist before adding anything new to our routine, even if it seems harmless.
I agree.
You mentioned diet earlier.
Yes,
What we eat can significantly impact how our medications work.
it can. Really? I hadn't thought about the connection between diet and medication. Are we talking about specific foods that interfere with medications, or is it more about overall healthy eating?
It's both, but specific foods can have these surprising interactions with medications.
Like what?
Grapefruit juice.
Okay.
It's notorious for intensifying drug absorption. Having a glass with your medication could lead to higher than intended drug levels in your bloodstream.
Interesting. So if I'm on medication, should I skip my morning mimosa? I'm kidding, of course. But seriously, this interaction is something to be mindful of.
It is.
What other food interactions should we be aware of?
Well, calcium-rich foods,
Yeah.
so things like dairy products, they can interfere with the absorption of some antibiotics.
Really?
Yeah, it just highlights how important it is to be mindful of what you eat when you're taking multiple medications and to have those open conversations with your doctor or pharmacist about potential interactions.
Right. This is all incredibly insightful. But before we get overwhelmed by the potential risks, it's important to remember that managing multiple medications doesn't have to be impossible.
You're right.
Our source material highlights some innovative solutions and strategies that can help ensure safer and more effective medication use.
Yeah.
I'm eager to dive into those. But first, why don't we take a quick pause?
Hmm.
When we return, we'll discuss how technology, lifestyle changes, and even specific platforms are making a difference in the world of polypharmacy. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to our deep dive into polypharmacy in seniors. Before the break, we were talking about the hidden dangers of taking multiple medications, like overdose, underdose, and those complex drug interactions. But it's not all doom and gloom, right?
No, not at all.
Let's shift gears and explore those innovative solutions you mentioned. I'm particularly interested in the advancements in technology.
Okay.
Can you tell us more about those medication interaction checker apps and AI-powered tools? Yeah, these technological advancements are truly game changers, I think, in the fight against polypharmacy.
Okay.
Imagine having a virtual pharmacist right at your fingertips.
Right.
You just enter the names of all your medications, prescriptions, over-the-counter meds, even supplements.
Okay.
And the app or AI tool cross-references them
Okay.
against a huge database to identify any potential interactions.
So it's like a safety net.
Yeah.
To catch those potential problems before they even arise.
Exactly. And this can be incredibly helpful for seniors, obviously, who are often managing a complex mix of medications. It provides peace of mind and helps prevent those dangerous interactions we discussed earlier.
That's remarkable. But technology isn't the only answer, is it?
Yeah.
Our source material also talked about being cautious with over-the-counter medicines and supplements.
Right.
Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Sure. Just because something's available without a prescription, it doesn't mean it's safe to take with other medications.
Right.
It's easy to overlook the potential risks of seemingly harmless products, like pain relievers or herbal supplements, or even common antacids. But these can interact with prescription drugs and sometimes lead to some pretty serious side effects.
So even if it seems like a minor addition to our routine, it's crucial to consult with a doctor or pharmacist before taking anything new. Even those over-the-counter options that we tend to just grab without much thought.
Exactly.
Okay, good advice. And what about regular medication reviews?
Oh yeah, those are another important piece of the puzzle.
Okay. Can you explain what a medication review is?
Sure. Think of it like a checkup for your medications.
Okay.
You sit down with your doctor or pharmacist and you go through your whole medication list.
Yeah.
And they'll assess whether each medication is still necessary. looking for potential duplicates, medications that might be causing more harm than good, and maybe opportunities to simplify your regimen.
So it sounds like a simple but really effective way to stay on top of your medication routine
It is.
and avoid those unnecessary risks. Okay, now this one might surprise you. Weight management.
Oh, right.
How does that tie into the conversation about polypharmacy?
It's a fascinating connection that often gets overlooked.
Okay.
A lot of seniors are taking medications for things like diabetes, high blood pressure, joint pain,
Right.
conditions that can often improve or even resolve with weight loss.
So losing weight could potentially reduce or even eliminate the need for some medications altogether.
Exactly. Research has shown that losing even a small amount of weight, just like 5–10% of your body weight, can have a significant impact.
That's incredible. It really highlights how powerful lifestyle changes can be, sometimes even more so than medication.
Absolutely. Instead of automatically prescribing more drugs, doctors and caregivers should encourage healthy diet changes, increased physical activity, and maybe weight management programs as a first-line treatment for many chronic conditions.
Yeah, it's about addressing the root cause, not just masking the symptoms. Makes a lot of sense. Now, are there any technological platforms specifically designed to address the challenges of polypharmacy?
There are.
I know our source material mentioned mySeniorCareHub.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, mySeniorCareHub is a great example of a platform that provides a comprehensive solution for seniors and their caregivers.
Okay.
It's really packed with features designed to simplify medication management and enhance overall well-being.
What are some of the key features that stand out to you?
One of the things that impressed me was the customizable health alerts and reminders.
Okay.
It makes sure medications are taken on time, which can be like a game changer for seniors who might struggle with remembering their complex medication schedules. It also provides drug interaction warnings, flagging any potential conflicts
Right.
between medications, to prevent those harmful interactions.
Those features alone could be life-saving, I would think, but it sounds like mySeniorCareHub goes beyond just medication management.
It does.
What else does it offer?
Well, it's got these health monitoring features,
Okay.
things that track vital signs,
Okay.
providing real-time insights into a senior's overall health. And in case of an emergency, it has this emergency assistance feature
Okay.
that can automatically connect them with help.
Wow, that's amazing. It's almost like having a 247 guardian angel watching over them.
Right?
That's a great way to put it.
But there's even more. It can also facilitate communication and coordination between caregivers and healthcare providers.
Oh, wow.
It acts as like a central hub for sharing information.
Okay.
So everyone involved in a senior's care is on the same page.
Yeah.
And of course, it does all this while sticking to really strict privacy protocols to protect sensitive health information.
It's amazing to see how technology can be used to address such a complex issue like polypharmacy.
It is.
This platform sounds incredibly empowering, not just for seniors, but also for their loved ones who are often involved in their care.
Absolutely. It's about giving seniors and their families the tools and resources they need to navigate this, to manage medications, and to maintain their independence and well-being.
This has been a really eye-opening conversation. Before we wrap up our deep dive into polypharmacy, I'd love to hear your overall thoughts and leave our listeners with some key takeaways.
Okay, well, I think it's clear that polypharmacy is a multifaceted issue
Right.
with far-reaching consequences,
Right.
especially for seniors.
Right.
But it's not an inevitable part of aging,
Right.
There are steps we can take to minimize those risks and ensure safer, more effective medication use.
Right.
And platforms like mySeniorCareHub, they really highlight the kind of innovative solutions that are emerging to help us navigate this complicated landscape.
I couldn't agree more. Let's recap some of the most important points we've covered today
Sure.
for our listeners.
One of the most important things to remember is that knowledge is power. Understanding the potential dangers of taking multiple medications, overdose, underdose, those drug interactions, that's the first step towards making good decisions about medication management.
Absolutely. We can't emphasize enough the importance of being aware of the potential risks
Yeah.
and taking those proactive steps like talking to your doctor or pharmacist before starting any new medications, even those over-the-counter options.
Exactly.
Right.
And don't forget those regular medication reviews with your healthcare provider.
Yeah.
Those checkups can help make sure all your medications are still necessary and that there aren't any potential interactions or redundancies.
And let's not forget about that surprising but impactful role of weight management.
Right.
Addressing underlying health conditions through lifestyle changes can be incredibly effective
Absolutely.
in reducing or even eliminating the need for certain medications.
It's about empowering seniors to take control of their health.
Okay, so as we conclude our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with this question. What one change can you make today to ensure safer medication management for yourself or a loved one?
Well, maybe it's downloading a medication interaction checker app, or scheduling that medication review with your doctor,
Right.
or even just being more mindful of those potential drug-food interactions we talked about.
Every small step counts.
Yeah.
And remember, you don't have to navigate this complex world alone.
You don't. There are resources out there to help you
Absolutely.
every step of the way. We've included links to mySeniorCareHub and other valuable resources in our show notes.
Great.
We encourage you to explore those resources and keep learning about safe and effective medication management.
Because with awareness, proactive steps, and the right tools, older adults can live healthier, safer, more fulfilling lives. And that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Well said.
Thanks for joining us on this insightful journey into the world of polypharmacy. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed. It's inspiring to see how technology and platforms like mySeniorCareHub are revolutionizing senior healthcare. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into polypharmacy. But before we wrap things up, I wanted to touch upon one more crucial point from our source material.
Okay.
It briefly mentioned the potential of pharmacogenomics. Can you tell us a bit more about that? What is it, and how might it impact the future of medication management?
Sure. Pharmacogenomics is this fascinating field that's gaining a lot of traction. It looks at how a person's genes affect how they respond to medications.
So it's like personalized medicine, tailored to our unique genetic makeup.
Exactly. The idea is that by analyzing someone's genes, we can predict how they'll metabolize certain drugs and identify any potential risks, like side effects or if a medication won't be effective for them.
Okay. How would this play out in a real-world scenario?
Let's say someone is prescribed a blood thinner currently. The dosage is often determined through trial and error, which can take a while and be risky.
Yeah.
But with pharmacogenomics, you could do a simple genetic test.
Right.
That reveals how their body processes that specific blood thinner. And doctors could prescribe the optimal dose right away.
So that would eliminate a lot of the guesswork
Exactly.
and potentially prevent adverse reactions. It's pretty incredible to think we might be moving towards such personalized approaches to medication.
It's an exciting area for sure. Pharmacogenomics could revolutionize how we prescribe and manage medications, leading to safer, more effective treatments and better outcomes for everyone, especially seniors who are often managing multiple medications.
It's definitely something to keep an eye on. Well, we've reached the end of our deep dive into polypharmacy. But before we go, I wanted to reiterate some of those key takeaways for our listeners.
Yeah, good idea.
What are your final thoughts?
I think the main thing to remember is that polypharmacy is a serious concern, especially as our population ages. But it doesn't have to be an inevitable part of getting older.
Right.
There are steps we can take to minimize the risks and ensure safer, more effective medication use.
Knowledge is key. We need to understand those hidden dangers, overdose, underdose, drug interactions. That's the first step towards making informed decisions about our health or the health of our loved ones.
Absolutely.
We also can't forget that what we eat can have a big impact on how our medications work. Being mindful of those potential food-drug interactions is so important, and regular medication reviews with our doctors or pharmacists are crucial too.
Yeah, definitely. Those checkups can help us stay on top of our medications and make sure they're still necessary, and we can catch any potential problems early on.
Absolutely. And of course, those empowering lifestyle changes can make a real difference. Sometimes addressing the root causes of chronic conditions through diet, exercise, and weight management can be just as effective, if not more, than medication.
I completely agree. It's about being proactive and taking control of our health.
Well said. As we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with this question one last time. What one change can you make today to ensure safer medication management for yourself or a loved one?
Maybe it's finally scheduling that medication review you've been putting off, or downloading a medication interaction checker app,
Right?
or even just starting a conversation with your doctor about your concerns. Every step counts, no matter how small.
Absolutely. And you're not alone in this. There are resources available to help you.
We've included links to mySeniorCareHub and other helpful resources in our show notes. We encourage everyone to check them out and continue learning about safe and effective medication management.
Because with awareness, proactive steps, and the right tools, we can all contribute to a future where aging is associated with vitality, not vulnerability. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into polypharmacy. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.